All right, you're watching the first few seconds of episode 117 of Podcast PD. We've got a great episode lined up for you tonight. AJ is here. I am here. We've got Mr. Toby Price waiting in the green room. So let us know in the comments where you're checking in from and share it out. Share it on Twitter. Throw a tweet out there. Share this. We want people to watch and obviously be a part of Podcast PD. So let me get the music ready to music.
Do you think?
And we will get going.
Music ready to music.
Coming up on episode 117 of Podcast PD, sponsored by StreamYard, we are speaking with Mississippi elementary educator Toby Price, and we are moving forward and taking a stance on stale education practices. Let's start the show. This is Podcast PD, the show that provides you with anytime, anywhere professional development. Our conversations and guests will provide you with the learning you might get in a faculty meeting or on a PD day. Except you're going to have more fun with AJ Bianco, Stacey Lindis, and me, Chris Nessie. Let's start the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is episode 117 of Podcast PD. I am co-host Chris Nessie at Mr. Nessie on Twitter, and I am joined, as always, by my Podcast PD compadre, Mr. Subway himself, Jimmy Nope, it's AJ Bianco, not Jimmy Garoppolo. What's up, AJ?
Chris. How are you? Thank you for that.
I am doing well.
I appreciate the text message the other day. That was wonderful.
I saw that ad.
Yeah. Can I just say something though? Like in all seriousness, I was watching TV with my daughter a couple weeks ago. Well, about a week to whatever. Saw that commercial. My daughter looks up the TV, looks at me, and goes, "Daddy, you're on TV." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess I am on TV." So yeah. I wish maybe the arm isn't what it used to be, but I could probably still sling it a little bit.
You could definitely pick up those Subway sandwiches and I could do some damage.
I can do that. I can do some damages on Subway. You can probably eat 3 of those and still be hungry.
Yeah, because it's not really a foot long. It's really not.
And I don't get toasted. Do you do toasted?
Oh, heck no.
Yeah, you can't. No, I want nice soft bread.
Yes.
I haven't had Subway in ages.
No, me either. Me either. Because they got out the bread.
Yeah,
I'm a Jersey Mike's guy myself.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I like Jersey Mike's.
I haven't been there in a while either. I don't need that stuff. I haven't been eating cold cuts.
Too much nitrates?
Too much nitrates, right. Got to keep this Peloton figure.
Not at CrossFit.
There you go.
I am not at CrossFit. I'm currently in between exercise regimens, but life is a little crazy.
You're doing your curls.
You son of a...
Hey, we got a podcast here. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Educationally, things are good, AJ?
It's almost April. Spring break is coming.
Dave Frangiosa checking in. It's going. It's going.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a good chat with Dave the other night? You're doing your Reflect Ed Lives. Things are going well?
Yes. David and I are still doing Reflect Ed Live, and that episode will be, it's pretty funny, that's episode 17. That'll be released probably before you listen to this. So if you haven't listened to Reflect Ed, listen to it. The newest episode is up. We discussed professional learning and development for teachers and what we can do going forward.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
But before we got on here, I recorded episode 198 of the House of Ed Tech, which I referred people to this episode, but people are going to hear that before they hear this. So if you're checking this out after episode 198 of House of Ed Tech, thanks for stopping by. AJ and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
But other than that, things are going well.
Things are good. I'm glad you're well.
All right. We are going to bring on our guest for this episode, and we are proud and pleased to welcome Mr. Toby Price. Toby is I'm going to put the important stuff up front. He is a Star Wars fan, a Marvel fan. He is all about Harry Potter, and he is an assistant principal from the great state of Mississippi, and his interests range from autism to education. Toby Price, welcome to Podcast PD.
Hey, thank you very much, everybody, for having me. I'm really excited to be here tonight. It gives me something to do. Again, just want to hang out with y'all. Getting to hang out with y'all and almost in person is really cool, too. It's really cool. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining us, man.
It is cool that, here in the year 2022, we can do things like this and talk with educators from all over the world, and to talk to somebody like you with your resume and your experience and the impact you have made on education and the students you've gotten to work with is our pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. There's been a lot going on the last couple of weeks.
I was going to say, so speaking of the impact you're making on education, you, again, we can't skirt around it. You were in the news a couple of weeks ago, and you were recently terminated from your job as an assistant principal for reading the book I Need a New Butt, which made just about everybody I know, AJ included, kind of go, what?
Yes, it's a gripping young tale about metaphysics and the effect that it had on Renaissance literature back in the 1400s. It's not anything like that at all. It's about a kid who realizes he has a crack in his butt, worried that how he got it, and then thinks, you know what? If I broke this one, I'm just going to have to get a new one. Maybe I should get a robot butt, a flamethrower butt, or a rocket butt. That's it. It just says butt a lot. Butt.
Of all the butts, I was most interested in have experience with the rocket butt.
The rocket butt. The rocket butt was probably my favorite too. Most realistic, the most realistic possibly would have been the rocket butt. And look, I mean, it was and it still is. It was a book that's designed to make kids laugh. Little kids, younger kids, reluctant readers, they need books that make them laugh to hook them. When I was little, I didn't like to read. You can ask me if I like to read. I would have said reading is boring. And it took the funny stuff to make me want to try and do it, because it wasn't boring. I just needed to practice because I wasn't very good at it. But it took the right books to make me want to practice to get good at it. My parents bought me comics. They eventually bought me Calvin and Hobbes, Far Side. All of those funny things were gateways into the mountains of books that, are stacked all over my house, and the mountain of books on my nightstand that'll be there when I pass away one day. They're gateways to other things. So silly books are important, even still.
No, totally, it's true. And I'm sorry, Chris, but like when I heard the story, especially with the book, my sons have both of the books. I broke my butt and I need a new butt. And when I first saw it, I was like, okay, let's see what this was. And reading those books to my two boys when we first got them years ago now, they were cracking up, literally. They were cracking up, and they were loving every minute of the book. So I could just imagine what it would be like in an elementary school that their assistant principal came in to spend time to read this book to them. And I'm sure there were a lot of laughs. I'm sure there wasn't confusion like, wait, I have a butt? Like, I'm sure there was a lot of laughter going on in the classroom when that happened.
That's what that is. Oh, see? It was, and that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to connect with kids. You're supposed to build those relationships with them. And sometimes, I know this sounds crazy to some, but as far as challenging status quo, to do that, you got to take a little bit of a risk and show them your authentic self. Yes, you know what? I'm the assistant principal. But yes, every now and then I think a fart joke is hilarious, just like they do. Just like they do. And I mean, that's how you build strong relationships. Strong relationships equal stronger learning. Somebody smarter than me said that. I don't remember who. But
yeah, somebody told me once, act childlike, not childish. So nice. I think you're okay.
That's where I've been screwing up. But no, you're right, Toby. And, as an administrator, and I think AJ, obviously you have more experience, both of you, than I do with this, but my perception of an administrator is it becomes that much tougher to build those connections with the students in a meaningful way when you're not the classroom teacher, whether it's kindergarten or ninth grade. You're not with kids in the classroom setting as much as a teacher is. So your relationship building has to be different. And, Toby, can you talk a little bit about how you have done that in your career as an administrator?
One of the things that's helped me with that is, you introduced it like when you got on the show. Star Wars was a big part of that for me. Star Wars is, again, just a gateway in with kids. Not everybody has to love Star Wars, but I almost guarantee you that one of my students walk up to me and say, I've never seen Star Wars, but it's my uncle's favorite movie. He likes Yoda, and boom, conversation, and you're in there. You give them that type of connection to you, just that kind of and they'll start to see you for more than just the disciplinarian. But it takes those types of things. I mean, that are relatable to them, whether it's Star Wars now, comic books, Harry Potter, Elmo, Sesame Street, those type of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine that Star Wars for you is the big one because it's right in your Twitter name, Jedi Padmaster.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I have 2 different Baby Yodas that I had on my cart that I would roll around with me, my mobile office cart, because I wouldn't stay in my office, but they would ride around with me on my cart because how, like Mandalorian says that he goes where I go, so they would go everywhere with me. Those Baby Yoda, and then a smaller one who the kids named Linda. That's Baby Yoda's sister, Linda. I haven't seen them in a couple of weeks because I haven't been able to go get my things from my office. So there's no telling what those 2 have done to my office. But Baby Yoda and Linda are with me all the time. They're my best friends there in the afternoons, especially when nobody's there. My wife says, "You don't talk to them, do you?" It's like, no.
Yeah.
And then people tell you it's only a problem if they talk back. But let me ask you this, Toby. So I'm going to jump on these learning opportunities for us. So you mentioned that you have this mobile cart because you're never in your office. What does an administrator with a mobile cart looks like? Because I know what a teacher who travels and doesn't have their own classroom will look like with a cart. But what does this cart look like for an administrator? What does it do? How do you use it?
I have on my cart. On the bottom, there's supplies, lots and lots of supplies, pens, markers, chalk, any other thing that I think I need. Possibly a Bluetooth speaker because we play music whenever we can play music. In the middle, there's Baby Yoda and Linda. And also probably a drink or snack and more supplies in the middle. There's my Captain America cup. He's got all the keys for all the computer cards. And then on top, of course, I'll have my planner, probably my notebook, and my computer. My radio's attached to it somewhere or attached to me. But it keeps you out and on the go and mobile when you just need to be out and on the go and mobile. In the thick of it, I guess. In the thick of it, like the backyardigans used to say.
So that's the answer to, an administrator who says, my door is always open, which means you're always in there, which is probably not where you should be. You could take the office anywhere you want to go.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, I could be in a classroom and, and I call somebody's mama, boom, I'll pull up their mama's number right there on my computer. We'll call them right then. We don't have to go back down to the room. I don't have to try to struggle with somebody who's yelling and screaming all the way down to my. We'll do it right here. Not a problem.
That's pretty good. I don't have a cart. I just kind of make moves around the building as much as I can, but maybe I should look into investing into a cart and see what I can do.
Carts are kind of fun. I'm not going to lie.
We can have a little cart. We can have a little cart off and see what I can do there.
Cart races. Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Pimp my cart.
Pimp my cart. There we go.
It's good for charging on the go too. Like I had to make sure my cart's not as nice as some of the others, but I have I have a strip to it that I can plug in. It's got about 4 plugs on top of that. So
it's like a Tesla cart. You got to plug it in and
everywhere I go. Exactly. It's the Tesla of carts. I believe
there you go. So now you got to get the Tesla emblem. Put it right there in the front.
Mm-hmm. But it keeps me out and about and, like I said, into the thick of things. And, I'm not just sitting still all day.
I got you. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
So Toby, let's get into the thick of things. So we understand what happened. We understand, and Chris and I kind of both discussed this in our last episode, how much of a shame this is to the kids in your building, to you and your family, of course. And, obviously we only want the best for you, and we hope this is resolved. But let's talk about, like, I'm going to talk to you as a leader, and I think, Chris, maybe you can tackle it as a teacher. Like, as a leader, right, we are looking for ways that we can find time to bond with our kids, to read to our kids, to have fun with our kids. Like, for other leaders out there, what advice do you give to them so that they're not put in this kind of situation? Like, you said it. You just want kids to laugh and enjoy reading. So let's say for me, I like sports. I go outside, I play basketball with kids. I'm not going to let anything stop me if I'm going to have, I broke through with a kid the other day through basketball. So what advice do you give to leaders who are looking to, like, make these bonds any way possible?
I think the best advice I could give them too And this is what kind of stinks, because the precedent this kind of sets moving forward is to not take those risks. Like I talked about my friend who came over a couple of weeks ago and said, I took Walter the farting dog off my bookshelf out of my classroom tonight just in case. And I was just like, oh, and I don't blame him, but I get it. What I would say is make sure you really know your people, your kids, and I guess your administrator that you work with. But one thing that really helps is to know your parents and have that authentic relationship with your parents. And I'll say this because it's on the record from the first day of the appeal. They were concerned with parental complaints. Well, they asked someone, the superintendent, how many parental complaints did you receive? And she said, none. You received none because I have a relationship built with 99.9% of all those parents that know me, and they know, oh, well, Price is just reading them a funny book. You know, they're not going to see it as anything else. But I think so. If you're going forward, make sure you know your people, know your relationships, and you develop a trust with the people that you work with. I was speaking with some other folks the other day, and I said, the biggest thing that gets in educators' way now is not the kids, it's the other adults. And I like when I first said it, it came off as like parents, but it's not parents. It's the people you work with next to you. It's the people you work with above you and beside you. Sometimes we get in our own way. We're our own worst enemies, and we get in our own way with each other. And that's something that holds us all back. So I guess moving forward, just know your people, and don't be afraid to take those risks. Just don't be afraid to, because there was something good that has come out of this that my wife pointed out the other day. And if it's okay, I'll share it. I don't like to ramble the whole time.
It's all yours.
She said, ever since you started in education, you wanted kids to go home and read, and you want to, parents reading with their kids. And she said, I don't know if you realize it, but it's an unintentional side effect or consequence of this. How many pictures you've received from parents reading that book with their kids, reading any book with their kids, going and getting that book and telling you they read it with their kids. Their kids are reading it, unintentionally on a grander scale, thanks to, the news, the internet. A whole bunch of people are looking for a book and they're sitting down and reading it with their kid tonight. That's pretty awesome. I don't like what's, happening because of it, but man, at the end of the day, I can sit back and say, you know what, I did that. I helped do that. Excuse me.
Now, I would venture a guess, Toby, that this was not the first time you've used this book in your career or a book like it in your career to do what you did, which is the funny, the silly, just get kids excited about reading, which I think is an important message. And you talked about that teachers and administrators, we shouldn't be afraid to take risks. Now I'll ask you, when you took that book off the shelf or anything like it, did you see it as taking a risk, or, hey, this is just like everyday run of the mill, I'm just going to read a funny book to the kids?
It was everyday run of the mill. I'm reading a funny book to the kids. I'm not good at a lot of things, but I'm good at knowing my audience. And to me, that was a book that kids like, and I grabbed it. It was not about a risk for me with that book. It never really was. I never saw it that way. And I don't know, maybe that's to my detriment, but I never saw it that way.
And I would guess, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth because you're here, so you can respond. But I would imagine you can reflect on your career to date, and you've probably taken actual risks.
If you want to talk about risks with books, just books alone, I have some fifth grade students from way back in the day who will tell you that they came into the classroom and saw the Scarlet Hand from Michael Buckley's Sisters Grimm books painted on the front board, running down it like it was blood. And they were just like, oh my God, where's book 9? Ah! I thought I'd get in trouble for that. Nope. They still they remember that,
It makes me remember a story from when I was a kid. I was in 6th grade, and my 6th grade teacher was the first time I had a male teacher. I had 2 male teachers for 6th grade. And this guy, he was a former high school science teacher. I found out later in life. And a couple times a year, he wore this tie. And on the tie was this poem about like birds and bees. And it was basically about like sex. It was like this weird tie. And whenever he wore it to school, he would never let you get close enough to read it. But he would always say, come back when you're a senior in high school or once you've graduated, and I'll let you read the tie. And I remember being in 6th grade towards the end of the year, seniors who were graduating that year would come back on the half days at the end of the year, and he would show us, the current 6th graders, that yes, you come back. He had made those connections with kids who 6 years later, they came back to read this tie. And he, again, built these connections as a classroom teacher. So
What did Ty say?
And that's what
I don't remember what the tie said, AJ, but I remember how the tie made me felt.
But I mean, that's what it takes, is the connections that you have with the kids and with the parents. And by connections, I mean, too, you take the time to talk to the kids. You take the time to pick up the phone and talk to the parents. And you know what? God forbid, you sit and you talk to them when you run into them at the gas station and they want to talk to you for 5 minutes. Or when they stop you in the Walmart and say, hey, my kid goes to your school. It's part of the game. It's part of the game. I mean, it happens. And when you do that and you're genuine about it, hey, it pays off big time. It pays off big time. Because I have a couple people who are upset with me about this book, but most of them are not parents who go to that school. The majority are not. So it'll be all right.
We do these things, like we do these podcasts, we do our Twitter, we do our Instagram, we write these blog posts because we see ourselves as a connected learning network, right? We're all in this together. We all want a big change for education. I know it's a terrible situation for you, and of course where your family is at right now. But with this, like, I see you making more of a change now, and to reform education than you would being in a school. Like, so what's the messages you want to put out there for others looking to make some kind of change?
I think my wife said something to me like the other night. You've been getting towards the end, and she said, you know what? Maybe you didn't do everything that God had planned for you to do yet. So guess what? God pushed you into the direction off the side of the dock, off the diving board, and poof, here you are. This is your chance to do that. And I think, I don't recommend others to do it the way I did, because it may not always work out. But I guess it is. You take yourself out of that comfort zone and stop being afraid of doing that one thing you want to do, and just get out there and do it. I think one of the revelations I've had for myself over the last 2 weeks with the people that I've been working with now, as opposed to when I was in the buildings then. In the buildings, I was always afraid of being a little too authentic, a little too much Toby. And over the last few weeks, with the folks at X Factor Publishing and Brian Aspinall and the Codebreaker folks, one of the first things they said to me is, we want you to be unabashedly you. And I went Chad Copeland with Whisper Bidets, which you guys ain't seen nothing yet. And one of the things Chad told me the whole day I was there with Chad is that Chad said, you know what, just be you, be Toby. I said, here's what I need Toby to say. Here's what I want him to smile and say, but I just want you to be you. So just go with it. And man, that kind of freedom from taking that huge risk of having the opportunity to be myself and help kids and make change with students who need it. Man, it's freeing. I don't know how we're going to pay the bills or keep the lights on, but we will find a way. But it's so freeing, and so just, I feel more excited about things than I have in a really long time. I know that sounds weird, but it is what it is.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the, real quick for everybody listening, Invisible Sky Buddy alert. You mentioned some of the religious undertones to this, and, God works in strange and mysterious ways. And again, this is not something you set out to do, right? Well, AJ, what's that quote? Life is, 10% of what happens to you and 90% how you react to it, or something like that.
Yep.
Right. So
life is what comes at you on some random Tuesday. Wasn't that in the Sunscreen song?
Yes.
Some random Tuesday when all this went down. I'm just like, yeah, you never know what you're going to get. But I don't know as far as the plan and all those things goes. I don't ever think that was the plan, but maybe I wasn't going in the direction I needed to, and I got pushed in that way. For example, for the X Factor folks, cheap plug, my children's book is going to come out next month, and I hadn't finished it. and I had stopped sending out query letters. I sent out a bunch, and I had, no response, whatever. But also my autism book about my family and how we apply it to all that. The Dr. Matthew over there at X Factor, he's like, this is good. We're going to sit down and hash this out. I mean, stuff that I know I needed to finish and share. I don't care if people buy it or not, but I know I needed to. I'm going to get the opportunity to do that now because of what's going on. So, I mean, I feel like stuff that I should have been doing, I'm doing now because of this.
All right, let's roll with that, because I was going to bring it up later, because I got a message today as I posted one of these things. I think it was on LinkedIn. Matthew Joseph said, tell Toby we said what's up. So why don't you tell us what you got planned with Matthew and X Factor?
Oh, wow. Those folks, first off, is a kid's book that's been near and dear to my heart for forever. It's about my family. It's an autism book, but I always try to pitch it as it's not an autism book. It's not like autism is a neurological. It's not that. It's about my family and Titus the monkey. When Titus shows up, he's great with the kids, but he completely destroys the house. He just kind of comes and goes as he please. I stopped calling animal control on him years ago because it doesn't do any good. And one time they go to the store, and what happens when they're at the store when someone's ugly to one of the kids in front of Titus, and he doesn't like it. And something happens. The cool thing about it is whether Titus was really there or not, what happens in the grocery store actually did happen in the grocery store. So y'all get to see that eventually. And it's just a lot of fun. I'm really excited to get to do that. It's silly. It teaches about autism. It shows autism in a different way. I want kids to see sometimes. Yeah, that's right. I want kids to see my kids and other kids with autism as they're just kids just like them. And they just communicate in a different way. Because, Titus, he doesn't treat the kids any different when he's here. And the second thing that they're going to work on me with is I tentatively called it Me Because of 3. Because if my kids weren't the way they are and who they are, I wouldn't be where I am now and who I am now. And we take all of the crazy stories and the life lessons and things that they taught me and apply it to my practice and education and how others could apply it to their education and parenting with their own kids. It's a lot of really wild information. Some of it make you say, oh, some of them make you say, oh my God. Some of them may make you, cry and laugh and just be grateful what happened to somebody else, but it's a lot of neat stuff that they're really being supportive with. And Matthew and Brian, they've all been there. And that was one of the nicest things that they first said when we got on the phone that day. It's like, we've been here. We know what it's like. Here's what we want to do. So I'm really excited to get to work with them. Once I get some of this behind me tomorrow and the next day, we'll flesh out some more. There's going to be some information coming out from it really soon. I'm really excited about, maybe people buy it, maybe not. Maybe I'll get to read it at the library here in town. Maybe I'll pick it up at the Dollar Tree in about a year. It's okay. Oh, wait, the $1.25 tree. I'm so shady every time I see that. I'm just like, never mind. All right. Personal bias.
Hopefully you can grab one of those copies of the book and read it to your next groups of students and let them feel like
exactly.
they belong. That's excellent.
Exactly. I will say this: I've been able to spend time working at the school where my wife works. It's a private school, but it's an inclusive private school. They have kids with special needs. They have kids that are completely neurotypical. K through 12, there's about 80 students. And I tell folks, have you been subbing there? I'm like, not really subbing there. I'm just kind of there. So when something goes wrong, I'll go fix it. If they need me to, go teach a class, sure, I'll teach a class. They need somebody to plunge the toilet, I'm on it. They need somebody to install the, cameras outside. I can handle that too. But I've been getting to spend some time with some really interesting kids that I never would have met if any of this hadn't happened. And it's pretty awesome to see. I'm very excited to see where it goes. That and my Uber career taking off. Maybe my Uber and my DoorDash career will take off too.
There you go.
My DoorDash, man, I'm the man with DoorDash, but one of those two.
I don't know. Ask Chris. You make a TikTok about DoorDash. I'm sure somebody will start watching, right, Chris? There's TikTok. For
there
that.
You go. You got to be out there to be out there.
There you go.
So you talked about what you're doing with X Factor. Do you have a timeline of when you anticipate those things becoming published and available?
I have a feeling the one timeline I know that Dr. Matthew and I discussed is the Almost True Adventures of Titus the Monkey is next month, somehow next month. I have 85% of the illustrations hatched out. God bless them. They're going to let me try to illustrate it, which is pretty cool. As of right
Double
now,
duty. So you wrote it and you're illustrating it.
Yeah, we may get halfway through and say, "Oh my gosh, all these pictures suck," and we have to find somebody. But I'm pretty happy with the picture right now. I just have to make sure they are, and then we'll start, working on Me Because of 3. Maybe we can get it out before Christmas. There's a lot of content already written. We just have to make it, I guess, legible and understandable. And then the Whisper Bidet ads will be coming out really soon. Thank you very much, new spokesperson for Whisper Bidet. I'm really proud of those. They're funny spots. They you know what, for as silly as it sounds, I gotta say this, Dr. Matthew and the folks at Whisper Bidet, they offered me a lot of things. They offered me hope more than anything else. Something bad happened and they're like, yeah, you know what, we can do this. And I was like, I appreciate that. They gave me some work. Whisper is gonna take care of us. The more bidets we sell. The same with working with Brian and Matthew at X Factor. I'm pretty pumped about it. So, and just pumped. I guess grateful. Just grateful. Because this is kind of a crap Sunday, and it's not all bad. So,
I was gonna say it's. I mean, some people go through situations like this, as relative to them, and they're not immediately presented with or blessed with, what's on the other side of something that's negative and not positive. And while you're still going through it, it sounds like you are in a position to, take steps in maybe another direction. And, sounds like things are going to work out.
I hope so. One of the neater things is the last 2-3 weeks, I've been able to take things to the kids when they need it at school. My 2 oldest with autism, especially, spend time at the school where my youngest goes. I've been, if anything, I've gotten to be a better parent. Knock on wood. I tell my wife I'm a trophy husband, but she won't buy me the shirt. But I feel more connected to them, which, when it gets right down to it, at the end of the day, that's something I've always wanted more than anything else. Just to know that I'm doing right by them, by my wife and my kids, and just trying to be a better dad. Peter Parker says, I'm trying to do better.
I get it. That's all we want. That's all we
All
want.
right.
Is just be better.
Real quick, we're going to pause right here from a word from our sponsor, and that is StreamYard. And StreamYard is a live stream studio in your browser. It's how we produce Podcast PD, and we've been using it since we started live streaming almost 2 years ago now, AJ. And StreamYard lets us interview great guests like Toby. We can take calls. We can very prettily, we can visually brand our broadcast in a nice way. And with StreamYard, we can stream directly to YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, which we used to do. But right now, we're just on YouTube and Twitter. And if you want to learn more, please use our link. Go to podcastpd.com/StreamYard. And thank you to StreamYard for supporting Podcast PD.
Thank you, StreamYard. I'm supposed to say that, right?
Yes. Thank you, StreamYard.
Thank you, StreamYard. Sorry, I forget. That's what I have to do.
Thank you.
So, Toby, AJ. Oh, go ahead. What do you got, AJ?
No, that was Toby. I don't know if we were jumping in.
Oh, sorry.
No, I have a friend coming to talk. She's
It's all
okay.
good.
You're okay. It's okay. She's good.
It's all good.
Everybody is welcome on Podcast PD.
Mm-hmm. Addison, you say hello. Hello. There we go.
Hello.
Mm-hmm. She ain't
And
gonna
she got the rockin' Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You are a good father.
Yes, I try. We try.
Teach
We
them
try.
well.
She stole that from her sister, but I try. It's the essential. They're gonna know. Culture.
Culture.
So, Toby, my question is, so AJ asked a lot of administrative questions, but I'm still a classroom teacher. I teach high school social studies, and I've been known to take a risk or 10 in my career, and there have been consequences for some, others I've gotten through unscathed. But as an administrator, how do you support and try to encourage the classroom teacher to take risks that are appropriate for the classroom teacher to take?
I think what a lot of teachers need is the reminder that and I've seen teachers like this, where I tell them, like, you know what, you've gotten away with motive, like they'll fuss it, like they're fussing at one, like saying, you know what, you're not doing your best you can on your test. You need to sit in here and do better. And she's like, his mom's probably going to yell at me because I fussed at him. I'm like, you know what, I doubt it, because you have a relationship built with him where he wants to make you happy. He wants to impress you by doing his work. He wants to please you. You built that relationship with him so you can do those things. And I think as an administrator, you got to remind teachers, one, to really seriously build those relationships with the kids and the parents. Tell them, call the parents when nothing's wrong. So when something is wrong, it's not a bad conversation. They want help. But, remind the teachers to build those relationships with them and show them when they have. Like, look, these kids trust you. These parents trust you. So if they want you to push them a little bit harder, you can, because you built that relationship with them. But they just have to see somebody telling them that and taking the time to model that for them. Someone that they trust.
That makes sense. I mean, again, students look to us as teachers for examples, and where a teacher is able to look, we should be able to look to our administrators as examples of what's possible. And I like that. I like the sound of that.
I like that too. Well said. Well said.
Thanks. Every now and then the medicine wears off, and something good comes out of my mouth. Every now and then.
So writing those down for the quotes and put in your next book.
Exactly. Okay. What do we do? No,
all right, Chris. You got a podcast for us? Is that our next thing here?
Yeah. Well, do you want to ask Toby our last question as the guest segment?
The guest.
Oh yeah.
Is this our overarching question that we ask all of our guests?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Toby, when it comes to professional development, since this is Podcast PD, how do you engage yourself in professional development? How do you plan on engaging your staff with appropriate professional development? What's your favorite?
How to engage myself? Well, first of all, I'm doing that right now because I'm speaking with people who I like to learn from, that I'm interested in learning from, that I feel like, hey, I need to be better at this, so I'm going to talk to you. I'm hanging out with smart people, so I become smarter. And I think with teachers, to engage them in that PD, you have to know them and know what they want to learn and need to learn. Because you know what, they don't need to sit for a 3-hour exposition on SEL when they've already read that book or they've already done that. Know what they want to learn, know what they need to learn, and help them with that. Give them that PD, and you won't have to worry about engaging them because that's what they want to learn. I think.
That's well said.
My 2 cents.
Makes sense.
I like that. I like that.
I thought it was going to be a hard question. Like, no, we do not talk about Bruno in our house, but we do. We talk about that.
You have to. You always have to.
I sing the song and my kids tell me, stop.
Oh my God, I love it. I sing it too. I love it.
Now, Toby, people are going to be able to go to our show notes for this episode, which will be podcastpd.com/117 to connect with you. But for somebody who doesn't go to our website, and that could be a few people, how can people connect with you, support you, learn from you, and just kind of continue to go on this journey with you?
Oh, that would be great. You know what? The easiest way, find me on Twitter at JediPadMaster on Twitter. If that doesn't work, I'm pretty sure if you Googled my name and the butt book, I mean, that would come up too. But I prefer you go to Twitter first. But I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook every now and then, just because I want to check to make sure my relatives are still alive. They are, but every now and then they are. But Twitter's the easiest way. JediPadMaster.
Awesome. All right, and now we are going to share a podcast recommendation, maybe more than one. Let's see. So I'm going to kick it off, and then AJ might share one, and maybe Toby, you also listen to podcasts, so you might want to share one too. And I'm going to, I've kind of gotten back into some Gary Vee stuff, AJ, which should not surprise you. You're thumb downing Gary.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down for Gary Vee. But he was in my playlist, so I don't have specific episodes to recommend. But let's see. One that I'm in the midst of is The Best Way to Deal with Haters. Another one I'm in the midst of is The Most Valuable Way to Spend Your Time. And those are two that I am not yet finished with, but those are both less than 10 minutes. So I'm in the midst of those. Can't really report on them. But based on the title, you know that they are going to have a positive message and something to make you say, what am I worried about this for? So those are two that I'm actively listening to.
Great.
AJ, anything coming across your podcast player?
look, I'm going to put it out there because I feel like I have to do this to do it right. So I'm going to recommend the Compete Everyday podcast because we got him. Jake is coming on our show for episode 118. So if you don't know Jake, and I've mentioned the Compete Everyday podcast before, check out Jake Thompson.
You recommend Compete Every Day like I recommend Art of Manliness.
Exactly. So you just dive into Compete Every Day, get your mindset right, because when Jake gets here, he's going to drop some knowledge for us that it's going to help us get into a positive mindset going into spring break. Well, at least around here.
Nice.
Right. So, AJ, that is going to be, as I pull up a calendar,
April 10th.
April 10th. So we'll be back here live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time at that's the podcast. No, at podcastpd.com /live. Toby, do you listen to podcasts?
I do have a couple podcasts that I listen to, and my youngest daughter can tell me too. So I sound really smart. The Partial Credit podcast, really good. I was on it just a couple weeks ago. It was good before I was on it. My personally, like the other day, I was listening to Fake Doctors, Real Friends because I still can't get enough of Scrubs. I wish it was on TV. Marley, what are your two?
It's on Spotify. It's called Harry Potter and the Sacred Text.
Mm-hmm.
And it's talking about like different types of the themes in Harry Potter and the bad themes.
Harry Potter and the Sacred Text on Spotify is her pick.
And also,
what's the other one?
Canadian True Crime.
Canadian True Crime. We're true crime junkies, so yeah.
There's crime in Canada?
Yeah, Canadian True, and not this is in Canada. I'm all for true crime wherever, but yeah, we are some true crime junkies. We love those kind of things. We do.
Nice. Love to hear the Harry Potter talk. It's been a while since we've had Harry Potter talk on Podcast PD.
The Dumbledore movie to come out. I'm just like, I'm excited. I just pretend, you know what, J.K. Rowling did what on Twitter today? And I'm like, that's fine. Daniel Radcliffe wrote Harry Potter anyway, so I mean, it's not a big deal. He did it, so I mean,
who's this author person?
Yeah,
exactly.
And to your first recommendation, Toby, we are also fans of Partial Credit. Having edited most of their episodes, and AJ is the voice of their intro, so it's
cool.
Like you're being on Podcast Partial Credit. That other show, yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
So I did listen to that episode, and I enjoyed what you guys shared and talked about, and certainly that conversation got a little bit more nerdy and geeky, but
sorry,
that's their style.
That's okay.
All right.
Speaking of geeky, my wife doesn't know that we have a 6-foot Batman cardboard cutout from the gas station in the back of our minivan. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but they asked me if I wanted it, and I said yes.
Yes.
That's how the rest of my night should go. Thank you very much.
As always, yes.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I see a space behind you where it can go.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Tomorrow is Superhero Day at my school, so I get to wear jeans and a Superman t-shirt.
Yes.
How is that different from any day at your school?
I just don't get to wear the Superman t-shirt days. So tomorrow is Superhero Day.
You wear it underneath your shirt and you go like this, like Clark Kent.
I would have to wear a shirt and tie to do that, which I do not. So,
nope.
Oh, yeah.
Nope. And I'm not ripping open my polo.
Me neither. Not anymore. Not me. We'll go with Scotty Young Venom. That's what we're wearing tonight.
No, pull that up there again. AJ blinked.
That is very cool. I like
nice.
That. Scotty Young,
like
Spider-Man and Venom. Love me some Scotty Young.
I could show you his entire Scotty Young collection.
Yes, it is.
I think we can do that.
All right. So that's going to do it for episode 117 of Podcast PD. Thank you to everyone who joined us in the live audience. Thank you to you, Toby, for being a part of the show tonight. As AJ's teased, we're going to be back on April 10th. And who are we talking to again, AJ?
Jake Thompson from Compete Every Day.
Awesome.
Cool.
So come on back. If you're not subscribed to the show, go to podcastpd.com/go and go and get yourself subscribed. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. All right. We are still live. So, AJ, don't curse. Thank you, everybody, for coming out in the chat. Mel A. and Dave and Stephanie were here. Thank you so much, everybody. And we're going to say goodbye to Toby. But thanks for hanging out with us. And we're going to end the broadcast, and we're going to say goodbye to the man himself.
thank y'all very much for having us, my family who invaded the screen as well. But we really
Yes.
appreciate the time and the
Always
opportunity
good,
to share a story. And I just enjoy hanging out with